How are you? What is it? But you know, someone is not faking it. You know, there are those who fake the smile. This is like what? This is fake it. But there are those like this one.
Like Mira. No, no, for me, I have to post it. If I'm smiling at all, I can't even fake it. I have to post it. First, for me, I'm not smiling.
There are some people really who smile. Usually. But there are those people who believe in you. They got to now do the PH.
Oh, this one. This one thing.
You I don't know what to do. No, simply the
Actually, I should get. That one was thing to do.
what I think is important. The wrong person.
Man of the season. How are you? You don't get the remote of a point. Now, yes. But of course, you look different.
Let me come.
So, Bararaman, how are you? You go back to look at your cows because you cannot stay in Barara for that long. We are getting and you don't leave cows. And also
And everything else.
Even treated me, you could well, my brother.
Who?
You know, Kalikwan. The other this.
Yes. Kalaki.
Where is it now?
Is now in the table.
I'm okay, bro. When women see their sizes, they think that the small men are easy to beat.
I've not come to the house for like 2 weeks. I realized that they may throw me. If you throw me here, I connect from Kenya. Ni chane. Waliwahi swali mkodi aje na mkodi. Roja semisi who is coming? This must be when you see the delay in coming,
The what?
When you see the delay in time, even by 2-3 minutes, that is there. Eh?
I'm coming here, bro.
Eh?
I'm coming.
Hello? Hello? Fine. The one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Abor yung lah ni. Who didn't get that thing? I told her to keep looking for it. Nama, you got it? Eh? Try to get it. You know, that is the one of the one which I responded that many cases here. So you'll find in that file, you'll see I wanted the old one, the photocopy of the old title before the workout. Of Nama. Oh, then you can check. Oh, I see it at home. Yes, now you go and take and then you send me that one of Nama. It is in William Estate? Yes. Okay, you go. I'm in the house. So now I would. We need some money there. We need some, there are some payments. We need to buy those electrical materials for Blanco. Nani for kata, nani for Tule. Are they finishing to make the iron safety? Yes. Portrait boy, yes. Okay. Okay, you gotta move 5 minutes. Are you welcome?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You asked for the one who don't have legs. There are two iron things which you carry, and the one with the legs. You pray and you find what I will come out with. They give up when they are following IMT. Even when they are following money, they give up. When they are following the cow, they don't give up. Yes. No, I'm not brought in the car. In fact, I'd actually tied it on the, if it's in the car, I'm going to give you when I go. Doesn't matter there. You call me at night? How is Mama? Okay, this one, I'm trying to make sure that Friday was. What was the response yesterday? But in short, but sorry. That's okay. Nice. Let me see on Friday. Yeah. I'm pushing something better. Yeah. To handle that balance. I hope you go to the other four. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I said it in. No, to your phone, but from the bank, 2 million, 2 million. I left it, I forgot the phone, and we had a burial in the cathedral. We are burying some reference, and it was a very serious engagement. I was representing. Okay, so I engaged I did the attend to the phone, but I called you at around 9, around 10. That was okay. You check your, you go actually.
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Prayers. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the office of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity. We beseech you to look upon with the abundant favor of these servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote you and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their charge.
Item number 2 in the order paper, communication from the chair.
Colleagues, I want to welcome you to today's sitting. Today I'm ready to communicate. I've been accused of not communicating. So today, I just welcome you and also thank you for being here in big numbers so that we can be able to do our part. Also to inform you, colleagues, that since the court ruling in the narcotics law case, we must establish quorum before proceeding on any stage of processing any law, especially second stage and second reading and third reading. For debate and all other issues, you don't need, but for those ones where the decision is now going to be made. So today we shall be having third reading for the narcotics bill. I will urge the whips to ensure that members come in so that we establish quorum when we are reaching that stage. I know there are colleagues who have informed me that they want to recommit some of the clauses which we passed during second stage. I'll give you a chance so that you present your issues on the floor. And once the colleagues allow, then we shall recommit, as the procedure is very, very clear. Honorable colleagues, also, I've been following in the news the issue of the plight of one of our honorable colleagues, which is very sad, the Honorable Segirinya, who is sick in the Netherlands. It's very, very sad that our colleague is in such a situation. We pray for him. And as Parliament, we shall play our role following the clear law. And I received many messages from most of you. I want to guide very clearly that Parliament follows clearly stated guidelines and procedures when processing treatment abroad for any of its members, including all ministers. We don't process it via social media, via videos on TikTok, via attacks and debates that happen. Because the clerked Parliament, even if you came here and you made a resolution that takes so and so to hospital, if a procedure is not followed, that clerk will go to prison. No one will go in for the clerk. So the procedure is very clear that if you have any ailment that requires treatment abroad, you have to apply to the Uganda Medical Board for referral. The referring doctor, after confirming that the ailment or procedure to be performed to relieve the condition of the patient cannot be performed in Uganda, fills out the medical board referral form and secures 2 other signatures of senior colleagues to demonstrate consensus that indeed the diagnosis is factual and the condition cannot be managed in country, either due to capacity deficiency or equipment deficiency. Upon the recommendation of the medical board, the patient presents a confirmation of sponsorship of the process of referral. Now that's when you come to Parliament and we confirm that indeed as Parliament, we are ready to meet the costs of referral. With the filled out referral form and proof of sponsorship, the referring doctor presents and defends the application before the Uganda Medical Board. That is a team of 12 senior specialists, senior consultants. Upon approval of the board, then the patient is issued with a referral letter from the Director General of Health Services, and the Office of the Minister of Health issues communication to the Office of the Prime Minister for processing or Parliament of foreign currency and processing of the referral. You're the same people who will go on TikTok. If you don't want to listen to a very clear procedure. I have seen you, honorable colleagues, putting other officials on oath even directing CID to arrest government officials for not following accountability procedures. Therefore, you must behave the same way. The same yardstick you want the public to be subjected to and government officials is the same yardstick we as members of parliament must be subjected to when it comes to utilizing government money. So you must, whether you love it or not, I'm not here to convey good news or bad news. I'm here to convey what is written. And because most of you have not been following it seriously. And honorable colleagues, we have received cases whereby some of you complain that the medical board has not processed your issues, has not given it attention. As presiding officers, we have tried to reach out to the medical board and the minister, who has helped on several occasions. But on some occasions, including ministers, they have been denied the treatment abroad because the specialists here say, no, we know you can do it. Now, when you come to the speaker or Rope or who, and he picks from his pocket and helps you, okay? Don't think now Parliament has sponsored me. Kindly, I wanted this to go out clearly to all members of Parliament. If you have any issue and you don't know about procedure, approach the office of the clerk, who will guide you on how the procedure is done. I have cross-checked. The medical board has not received any application from the Honorable Segrinya. But also the office of the speaker and office of the clerk has not received any formal information from the Honorable Segrinya about his treatment. So we are going indeed, I've seen statements from ROP. Our PRO had already issued out a statement. Let's now be proactive and see how best we can help him, because the state he's in, he's not able now to come do the application. So whoever can reach out to the relatives, please bring his documents. We present them to the medical board to see how best our colleague can be helped. And the moment it is, we are told that Honorable Segrinya's documents have been approved, the next day we shall ensure he receives all the necessary funding, the way we have done for other members of Parliament. Okay? Honorable, you are allowed to make a reaction to my communication when I have finished communicating. I have just started communicating. So you better be patient. Okay? Honorable colleagues, the second issue I just wanted to touch on was regard to congratulating our very own Joshua Cheptegei, who has equaled the world record of 3 World Championship Athletics, consecutive 3 wins, which was done in Budapest. We join Ugandans to congratulate him, and I hope, as usual, a formal motion will be moved by one of us, and we are able indeed to appreciate our colleague on the floor of Parliament. With that, if there is any reaction to my communication, please, I will come. Yes, Honorable Cicero Gwaru was the first, and then I'll pick Honorable Sebuju.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm very happy that you have raised the issue of clearance from the medical board for members of Parliament or even staff. I just want to inform the House that when Parliament conceived the idea of having medical insurance as institutionalized the way it is now, there was a thorough discussion had with the medical board, and it was agreed that there should be a contact person here who is our medical doctor who is housed in Parliament. So if anybody has an issue, the first place of call is our medical personnel here. It will be able to see your case. It can even recommend areas you should go. But the commission can only guide you in terms of policy. But really, our medical team here are already recognized as the contact person for the medical board. The minister can only reinforce. So I just want to provide you with information so that nobody should be really disadvantaged because of lack of contact with the medical board. And I think I can also offer help. I'm not a medical personnel, but I can link with you to make sure that you process your papers, because that's what I would want to see.
Thank you, former commissioner. Thank you. I will allow you, Honorable Siro, but colleagues in the public gallery this afternoon, we have pupils and teachers from St. Paul's Primary School, Yantonde. They are represented by Honorable Chaka Pauline and Honorable Enos Asimwe. They've come to observe proceedings of the House. Please join me in welcoming them. Can you stand up and you wave at us? Very good. Thank you. Honorable, also, we have a delegation of staff of the National Assembly of Kenya, and they are led by their team leader, Mr. Muhammad Jimale. They are here on exchange study program with Parliament of Uganda, and they've come to observe proceedings of the House. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes, I had allowed Honorable Semju.
Thank you very much,
And I will allow you.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the sensitivity about sickness and health is very difficult, very difficult to handle, especially when you are following formal procedures, because you are dealing with a colleague who is in hospital, almost dying. Mr. Speaker, I said here at the risk of repeating myself, when the president flew his daughter in a presidential jet to Spain for antenatal care, he said he did not trust Morago because they are about to amputate a UPDF soldier, and therefore created a doubt about our health care provision. I can see colleagues there, and you are victims. I am raising a matter that is going to affect you, and you are jeering. So the guidance I seek from you, Mr. Speaker, if the head of state has all this luxury, I saw colleagues falling on each other to shake his son, to shake his hand. He had traveled there with the presidential convoy, including a toilet. So if we had all that luxury that is not subjected to any procedure, and we have someone dying in hospital, it puts you as our leaders and supervisors in a very difficult situation, because the same media that you, Mr. Speaker, you follow, we also follow. You are now being attacked for not caring about one of your MPs. I therefore want to plead that the same channel that allows the president to fly his daughters for antenatal care, just antenatal care, which can be given by anyone, even someone who graduated yesterday, can be followed to save life. Once that life has saved, my colleagues who have been clapping for not helping, then you can celebrate and go and comfortably shake hands with the Bazukuru if you have finished the sons. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So, Honorable Semuju, I think if you want to benefit from the luxury, you can move a motion here. We also buy you a toilet, because it seems you wanted a mobile toilet. You move a motion, we subject it here as a whip of FDC, okay? Because you seem to be knowing much more about what people are benefiting than me. So you can move a motion, then we also buy for you and we give you the luxury. Otherwise, how will I rule that we start giving the luxury you're talking about if it's there? So, honorable colleagues, can I look, please, this is a matter, what I was reading is what is written and what must be followed. It's not subject to debate. It is not my opinion. Listen, it's not my opinion. So this matter is closed. Okay? Lope? Yeah.
Thank you for your kind indulgence, Right Honorable Speaker. For the record, what the Speaker has read is the procedure. Secondly, I am in close contact with the Honorable Segrinya. I have spoken to him this morning. He is indeed in very bad state. Even acknowledges the fact that he did not communicate properly, but he needs help. And we are working backwards to make sure that help is accorded. Very important that is helped. And I can confirm that he is in hospital and therefore help should be extended. I am in contact with the clerk's office to ensure that we work backwards to see how much can be done to support him. But Mr. Speaker, sir, we need, in view of this challenge, it brings into perspective a complaint I have heard from a number of members. I am a member of the commission. We need to revise our insurance scheme. It's not very helpful to so many members, and they're complaining. Some of the insurance companies, I think, are cheating members. Some of them are supplying air. Some of them are limiting members to Panadol. So we need to revise it. Probably the first line of contact for the honorable member would have been his insurance company. It does seem not to be available for help. So I seek your indulgence to cause the commission to review insurance and see how much more, because the medical board and attendant bureaucracy should be the last resort. Right on the Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lope. I know we had already received indeed some complaints. My office, the office of the Speaker had received, and the Speaker has already instructed the clerk to study this matter and prepare a commission paper, which is going to be handled at the next meeting of the Parliamentary Commission. So we are just waiting for that paper so that we look into it, because really the insurance that we are giving, we are paying a heavy premium, the insurance companies. And those same insurance companies are the ones moving around, go for medical insurance, we need national medical insurance. But if you're failing to handle a small group, how are you going to manage the whole nation? So we are going to ensure indeed we handle, and I want to thank you, Lope. Clerk briefed me this afternoon and assured me that the moment we get clearance, we have enough funds and capacity to help out our honorable colleague. Only that for him as a clerk to sign off the procedure, the right procedure must be followed, because he is accountable as a government official. So, Honorable Nambesha, you had a reaction, then Honorable Amos.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to join you to also pass on my congratulatory message to the gold medal winner, Cheptegei, for the sterling performance. But Mr. Speaker, the basic glowing tribute that this House would pay, particularly government anyway, that government would pay to Cheptegei, his sterling performance, would be to fast track completion of the National High Altitude Training Center in Teriet, in Kapchorwa. Mr. Speaker, 3 months ago, the Minister of State for Education and Sports, my good friend, Ogwang, was very bitter with the contractors because of the delays, but worst of it all, because of the defects in the construction. This construction was supposed to be handed over. You know, it commenced way back in 2012. And it was eventually supposed to be handed over in 2020.
Up to now, they are dragging their feet. And by the way, out of the 27 billion, already 23, actually now I'm reliably informed, 26 billion has been utilized. But there seems to be no value for the works that are on ground. So my prayer, Mr. Speaker, is the best praises or aggrandizements that we can accord to this champion is having this wonderful training center finished in a good time.
Thank you. Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, would you want to comment on the issue?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and dear colleagues, our son, Cheptegei, has done us proud. The whole world is singing Uganda, Cheptegei, Uganda, Cheptegei. We must thank God for this gift of Cheptegei to this country. Right Honorable Speaker, I can confidently share with you that this high altitude training center is almost complete. Almost 98% of the work has been done so far. And soon we shall be inviting you, Right Honorable Speaker, and members of Parliament to come and see and for yourselves the beautiful work that is going on in that place. I submit your Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Expedite on the process. Now, honorable colleagues, I hope you're not reopening a matter which I closed. I had Honorable Kakembo, because I communicated on two issues. One is closed. The other one, which is not closed, is the one of Cheptegei.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For record, I'm Kakembo Michael Salongo, and I'm raising to react to your communication, Right Honorable Speaker, in regards to the achievement of Joshua Cheptegei. And the minister was very happy what we achieved as a country. But I want to inform this House that it begins from far. 2024 is not very far. We are having Paris Olympics 2024. And the qualifiers for the Olympics is on 9th of next month. Right Honorable Speaker, most of the authorities, including the boxers, which have picked much interest, have not received any fund. And as we speak now, they have not entered their residential training in Rugogo to prepare for the Olympics. I want to bring it to the attention of this House and to the minister that when are we sending funds to prepare our athletes, the boxers, and other categories that we can compete favorably in Olympics.
Honorable Minister. Colleagues, I might be forced to put a ban on procedure. I first do business of the House. Right. Instead of shortcuts via procedure.
Right Honorable Speaker and dear colleagues, this was budgeted for. We have some money, and I think when our boys come back, training will start.
Thank you. No. Yes, Honorable Sewungu.
I'm a member of the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm a member of the Committee of Education, where the Honorable Minister comes to appear. But we are not getting proper information. The Chief Whip of the opposition and the Minister not giving us the same position. We've visited this higher altitude center and you know what is there. Now, the Minister is saying that is almost completed. But this soon. But these young men, the Cheptegei, have been training from Kenya all along. If it was favorable for them, they wouldn't be going to Kenya to train from Kenya to win us a medal as we are getting it. So, Mr. Speaker, I would pray with your guidance that either you direct the Committee of Education to give a proper position of what's happening. Otherwise, already we know that Uganda cannot host games, football here under FUFA because Nambole is not functioning. And they say they are working on it, but Mr. Speaker, that Nambole even has a hotel. A hotel, we don't know where the assets were taken. So the minister might be here trying to please us for the sake of cameras seeing us. But the fact will remain that that high altitude center is not yet favorable with the percentage the chief whip has given, Mr. Speaker. So it will be within your powers to find out who is telling the truth between the minister and our opposition whip, Mr. Speaker.
What if I find both of them are right?
Still, it is your discretion, Mr. Speaker. It is under your discretion, Mr. Speaker.
No. Just honorable colleagues, I think what is very important, you see, when you the problem of being caught from here and you're expected to give an answer, which is based on percentages, on facts, it becomes difficult sometimes. So, Honorable Minister, I think Thursday would be good for you to give us an update on these stadiums and the high training altitude center. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Thursday will be okay.
Yes, I think colleagues, it would be better. He goes, he verifies, because even the opposition chief whip said, I have it from reliable sources, but he has not shared the reliable source. So we don't know how reliable. We don't know how reliable. Honorable Sewanyana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you first for the commitment towards helping Honorable Segirinya Mohammed, going to the point through your communication about our very good performance by one of our own, Mr. Cheptegei, in Budapest. Indeed, it is very great for Ugandans. But Mr. Speaker, we should, as a country, look at how to improve our performance, not as an individual Cheptegei, but as a country, in counting more medals at the World Athletics Championships. In the past two events, Uganda managed to collect more than 2 medals. We thought that by this time, we would be able to have a capacity of producing better performance by getting more medals, like Kenya, which gets more than 10 medals at the World Athletics Championships, and the other African countries. So through you, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the minister to come out with a comprehensive report on our performance and why it has now gone down. Because even the participation is going down. We took more than 25 athletes in Oregon, America. Today, we don't have even more than 5 athletes to participate. So we are not even sure that we will get another medal in this event.
Sure.
Then another point, Mr. Speaker, which we wouldn't speak because we have a chance to have a minister here about the same in sports. We have had the netball coach all over the media crying for his payment. Indeed, we were expecting to win the Netball World Cup, but because of such demotivation in the technical team of the netball team, it led us to be the number 50th in the world, although first in Africa. But our most aim is to get the World Cup in Uganda. So, Mr. Speaker, I know the minister has all those answers because they are the people governing the National Council of Sports and all other sports managing entities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Sirangi. And on this, I will conclude with the MP for Cheptegei.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, today I want to raise this, Right Honorable Speaker, and to the Minister. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, sports in Uganda, when you look at all areas, athletics, football, sports is something that is nurtured. But Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the budgets that our districts receive for sports, 3 million shillings, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, every district in Uganda receives 3 million shillings for sports. Is there a deliberate policy? Is there a deliberate target by government? Because Primary schools are going for post-primary football competitions. They are completely stuck. Vocational institutions are going, they are completely stuck. Different institutions, technical, secondary schools are completely stuck. How are we going to get the future Cheptengeis if we are not nurturing the young blood? Because this begins from nurturing the young people. Once government does not deliberately invest in putting money in sports, so that we as parliament, we take a decision and then government becomes positive in investing in sports. We put enough money or fair money for sports, and then we nurture the small young generation and the young children so that we get future Cheptengeis. Even if we come here and say the training center is almost complete, this is almost complete. When we are not handling secondary, primary, Right Honorable Speaker, we are not achieving it.
Thank you.
The question I want to put to the minister, what is his suggestion on that? Because we should solve this once and for all, because we have been talking about sports.
Honorable, here we don't deal with suggestions. We deal with
Okay, the concrete solution, right?
And
Speaker, thank you for your guidance. Could I get the concrete solution from the Honorable Minister?
Thank you. Thank you. All these Honorable Minister will answer on Thursday. All of them will be captured in the statement, especially what Honorable Sewanyana has raised. We have to ensure that we capture in detail. Then I will allow a debate, Honorable colleagues, on Thursday. I'll allow a debate and we can talk more. But the MP for Joshua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, for including the congratulatory message about the performance of Cheptegei. First of all, I want to also thank the members who have commented and even gave us suggestions. I want to speak as the MP from Sabey. We were equally very happy when he made it. And today morning, I also talked to him. He has again promised that in the next one that is coming, we may also have another medal. But I want to talk about two things, Mr. Speaker, that the methods we are getting now are actually through these people's sweat. We as government have not yet done enough. Otherwise, we would be having many methods. Mr. Speaker, as we talk now, even the Kiblimo, who has been performing very well, is not doing well. He has got dislocation, and his home, where he stays, he even does not have a road that can connect him to his home. There is even no power to his home. There is even no water to his home. Most of these athletes you see, all the athletes you see are from Sabey, but they are from the Upper Bell, Mr. Speaker. And the Upper Bell have no roads completely. I want to give you the requests from these athletes because we interact with them every day. They are always requesting that they be given a road which will run along the upper bell. That is between the Mount Elgon. That they will be using to jog round so that they can perform well in this. They could perform well in their, yes. So, Mr. Speaker, finally, on the matter of
I've allowed you to continue speaking. Conclude.
Yes. On the issue of the Tariet.
It's a maiden speech, so on maiden speeches, I don't allow order.
Yes.
Honorable, conclude.
On the issue of the Tariet, honorable members, I am happy that all of you have been following. As we talk now, over 26, I think about 26 billion was allocated for phase one. But as we talk, about 24 billion has been spent. But the truth is, we may not be knowing the cost of putting that runway, but on the look of things, there is no value of money completely. Because even when you look at the hostels that have been built, Mr. Speaker, we would request we can all go there one day. When you look at the hostels that have been built,
thank you.
You enter small classrooms, small rooms, they're absolutely like for a primary school.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and members.
Can I request whips? to call all MPs in the lobby to come in, and we establish quorum. I'm seeing some are getting out when I need you in. Clerk, please help me establish quorum. I want to know how many members we have online and how many members we have online and how many members we have physically. Honorable colleagues, if you remember, last week, we agreed that the Minister for Finance lays on table information relating to all funds released for parish development model, so that we can upload it on the system and you're able to check whether your area has received the funds. So, Honorable Minister, are you ready? If you're ready, Clerk.
Laying of papers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table a list of parish development model circle capitalization for financial year 2022-2023. I beg to lay, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. I'll have the document. Wow, looks too heavy, but if we can also get a soft copy, we upload it onto our fresco system. But for now, you put it in the library for access by all members of parliament, so that we are able to know that indeed.
Mr. Speaker, indeed, this is a heavy document, 423 pages, capturing information of 10,585 circles. We have a soft copy of this, and we shall, actually we have sent it through the system, and it can be downloaded.
Okay, clerk, ensure that members receive a copy of that document. Colleagues, we want you, because we've been getting mixed signals. Some members say, no, we have received only 20 million in the financial. Others, we have received all 100 finances, we received all money. So we want you to verify for your areas. Procedure, clerk, do you have my information? Honorable Yeri. I have matters of national importance, which we are also going to handle, but I wanted to first dispense of this bill once I establish that we have quorum. You can use, and today is free sitting, so colleagues feel free.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I raised on a point of procedure. The government presented the budget for 2023-24 in June, but up to now, we have never debated. So most of these things to be coming. So are we really proceeding well? The budget for 2023-24. We have never budgeted. We only budgeted on the address of the nation. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honorable, kindly take your seat. Clerk, please. Clerk, kindly ensure that information is expunged from the record of parliament. Okay. Clerk, please ensure that information is expunged from the record of parliament. So, yeah. So, honorable colleagues, please. Honorable colleagues, physically, we have 161 members, and on Zoom, we have 41 members, and I see Rob has also entered. So, meaning we have 202 members, we meet the quorum required. Clerk.
Bill third reading, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Bill 2023.
Please, I'm going to guide. I know the issues. you want to raise on this? Let's wait. Let's wait. Okay, the clerk has called, please. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. The Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Bill number 14 of 2023, third reading, in keeping with Rule 137 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, I beg to move that the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Bill number 14 of 2023 be read for the third time and do pass into law. I beg to.
Yeah, colleagues, I have some of you who had clauses which wanted to recommit, and I was informed. So I can start with the chair, Committee on Defense, and then I'll pick you up.
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. I'd like to move under Rule 138, I beg your pardon, for recommittal of clauses 18, 19, 52, and 69 of the bill. I would like to move.
Is the motion seconded? Colleagues, just let me guide you on this, okay? You all know very well. We first ask whether it is seconded before you even justify. So how do we justify something which is not yet seconded? Is the motion seconded? Honorable Komakech, Honorable Kakembo, Honorable Serwanyi, Oporot, Namisindwa. Honorable, can you explain the clauses you want to be recommitted?
Right Honorable Chair, clause 18 is on penalty. This is for purposes of making the text so clear, aligning the wording, and making where it is a criminal offense, aligning it with the relevant laws. So we are not, and where we had amended, we are just clean, yes.
Just let me guide how we are going to handle this very easily, okay? Because once we have clauses for recommittal, we go back to committee stage. So it's at the committee stage where the justification and all will be put, and then we put a question and we see whether members agree or they don't. So for each and every clause. So if there is any other member who has any point for recommittal, because beyond here, we shall go to committee stage. Yes, Honorable Batua, then Honorable Aisha, then Honorable Guzuri.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I proceed under Rule 138 to move a motion to recommit the fourth schedule of the bill and consequently clause 2 and clause 90. I beg to move.
Clause 2, clause 90, and schedule 4. Okay. Is this seconded? Motion seconded? Honorable Namuga, Karangara, Wakiso, Rope, Nansana, Chibone, is it Chibone? Yes. Dr. Afghanika, let's move. Honorable Guzuri, is it, if they've been covered, you don't need to stand up?
Mr. Speaker, Schedule 4, which I wanted to propose, has been covered, and that is because there was no regulatory impact assessment done for this particular.
We shall argue at that.
And we think it is important we commit that.
We shall argue that. Yeah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Under the same rule, I want to move that we recommit clause 8.
Is it seconded? Honorable Namuga. Wakiso, Tarangara, Mukono. Okay. Rack. Honorable colleagues, I put a question for recommittal of clauses 2, 8, 18, 19, 52, 69, 90, and fourth schedule. Those in favor say aye, and Honorable Jonathan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to be convinced by the members that are moving for recommittal to give strong justifications for each of the clauses that they are proposing, so that when we give them the permission to recommit, we are actually sure that there is a compellable reason for us, not just a matter of recommitting. So I would like to persuade you to give each one of them to lay before us before we can then take a vote, so that we vote on issues that we understand.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, you see, I was avoiding a repetition because the same justification, you will give it at committee stage. And the recommittal does not mean that a clause has been accepted or not to be changed. So when we reach on committee stage, I would believe we would task them to justify, and the chairman will come up and the minister will give their views, and we have debate on clause by clause. But I was thinking, now if I open up at this stage, we shall be doing double work. So Honorable Jonathan Odura, I don't know whether you can agree with me on that, but we ensure each clause we listen to the mover, okay? And we ensure they convince us. If they don't, members will reject, okay? So, yes, Honorable Sachkuba.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and members. Right Honorable Speaker, a bill is composed of clauses which must be read together so that a common purpose is formed from those sponsoring the bill and this House which has debated the same. But listening in here, Mr. Speaker, more than 12 clauses are being proposed to be recommitted, including a schedule, plus a host of others that members have. Bear in mind that this bill has gone through a checkered history. And indeed, it had been referred for harmonization. And we're now getting back the same point where we left off. Because once you pick out the 12, they must be having other ramifications to the entire bill that this House passed without members being let to know what was passed at that point in time.
That one was such conflict.
Wouldn't it be procedural right, Honorable Speaker, to refer this committee back to the committee, to the bill back to the committee, so that all those that have issues can have it, other than, because short of that, we are having a committee sitting when we're having the committee of the whole House, and that shows that there must have been failure to harmonize in the first place, and for what reasons I don't understand. And you are making the speaker now to try to cure the bill that is incurable, because some members are saying once you raise more than 12, it means there is a very fundamental problem with the bill.
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, may I therefore
propose that probably it would be better to have another opportunity before the committee, since the bill is now falling out of the hands of this very house that determined it in the first place.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, this is a bill of 94 clauses and 5 schedules. And the members are proposing to recommit 7 clauses and 1 schedule out of the 94 clauses. Number 2, we were here 2 days. 2 days. We were here with numbers that were huge beyond even the required quorum. And we handled this bill, we gave it a lot of time. I want to know if there is any member here who will say, I was never given a fair chance of putting up my argument. Number 3, Rule 138 of our rules of procedure foresaw this. I might have put up my arguments at committee stage, but at committee stage, colleagues didn't listen to me. No, didn't agree with my submission. Then I got more information I can share with these colleagues. So you're given time to come and recommit a clause which has already been processed, because you can only recommit a clause that has been processed by the committee of the whole house. You can't go outside the committee, the report of the committee of the whole house. So the bill is still in our hands. Nothing has gone out. I only urge you colleagues to always be here from the beginning to the end and to be committed here. Yeah, I won't be happy. I won't be happy for us to sit here for 2 days, we do work, and then someone comes and says we didn't harmonize, we didn't. If you could know what we did here, the time we spent here. And number 3, you find some of the clauses are consequential amendments, okay, which the committee combed, and so that's why you saw Honorable Jonathan Oduru was saying, before we even allow you for recommittal, we had a very long debate. Why are you disturbing us? Justify why we should recommit this clause. But in the interest of time, instead of going back and forth, I felt I could put a question, and then we go to committee stage and we listen out to members. I would love everyone to be listened to. Okay? So, honorable colleagues, I put a question that clauses 2, 8, 18, 19, 52, 69, 90, and 4th schedule be recommitted. I hope I've captured all. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
The Narcotics, Drugs, and Psychotropic Substances Control Bill 2023, Bills Committee stage. Clause 2.
Yeah. Honorable Batua.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The amendment I want to cause in clause 2 is a consequence of the amendment in the 4th schedule. Unless I justify the 4th schedule, it won't make sense because its effect will be seen in 2 clauses, in clause 2 and in clause 90. Therefore, I beg that. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The amendment that should be caused in clause 2, the interpretation clause, is as a result of the amendment in the 4th schedule. It can only make sense if we've handled the 4th schedule.
Okay.
So that time we shall handle clause 2 and clause 90.
That's okay. Next clause. Let's stand over that. Clause 2.
Clause 18.
Oh, clause 8. We start with 8. 8.
Clause 8.
Honorable Aisha.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Chair. Right Honorable Chair, clause 8 is about removal of name from register. And it states where a medical practitioner, dentist, or veterinary surgeon is convicted of an offense under this act, he or she shall, notwithstanding any other written law, be liable to have his or her name removed from the register of practitioners licensed or registered to practice within Uganda as the medical practitioner, dentist, or veterinary surgeon, as the case may be. Right Honorable Chair, the amendment I seek is to add in police officers and army officers. This clause is premised on the fact that medical and veterinary practitioners are singled out for this further punishment because of the nature of their jobs that brings them into contact with these prohibited drugs and substances. And I would like to say that in the same way, police officers and army officers are also conditioned to come into contact with these substances. And in the same way, during committee last time, I was convinced to put it aside on ground that these professions that had been singled out, they are the professions that were subject to the standards. Police officers, all throughout this act, they are the enforcers, they come in touch with the substance, so they are concerned. The other argument was that they are not professionals. Right, Honorable Speaker, there's a code of conduct for police officers, and there is a UPDF code of conduct, which conditions them to be professionals. And members should know also that once these people are convicted under this act, it means they are not only reckless to themselves, but they are likely to be reckless to the community because they hold guns that are very dangerous. I therefore want to move colleagues to accept to add in police officers and army officers. That's the justification. And I would then propose that it goes that whereas, I beg your pardon, where a medical practitioner, dentist, veterinary surgeon, police officer, or army officer is convicted of an offense under this act, he or she shall, notwithstanding any other written law, be liable to have his or her name removed from the register of practitioners licensed or registered to practice within Uganda as a medical practitioner, a dentist, veterinary surgeon, a police officer, or army officer, as the case may be. I beg to submit and I appeal to colleagues to support me. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Aisha. And Honorable Nwagaba.
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. I do believe this particular motion for committee is misconceived. Police officers and army men are not professionals. They are not registered as professionals. Once they have been convicted of offenses, they can only be liable to dismiss of their respective forces.
but not from the register because they are not registered as professionals. So I move that this recommittal be rejected.
Colleagues, Honorable Rope.
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. Without losing the gist of the motion to recommit, the honorable member sought to bring into contact of this legislation army and police because they will regularly be in contact with this. Instead of dismissing the attempt, wouldn't it be proper to encourage the member to instead have an additional subclause 8 that where the person is an army or police officer, because they have regulations. In any case, this law is both penal and regulatory in nature. Are we leaving it open that contact with this particular, substances has no recourse to bring them into line? Because I think would utilize her attempt for recommittal to introduce a subclause that probably would bring these servicemen and women into line.
Honorable Minister, but I just wanted first, just something small. Honorable Minister, wait. Colleagues, now I'm getting, Honorable Jonathan usually tells me things I refuse, then I regret later. But this argument, we went through it clearly. The police officers are covered under clause 19 and 18 of the bill, clearly covered. The army officers do not have any role under this bill. There are penalties for police officers because they have a role, clearly provided for. So now, how do we, colleagues, I put a question on her own motion. I put a question that clause 8. I put a question that clause 8 be amended as proposed by Honorable Aisha. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The nays have it.
Clause 18.
Honorable Opio.
Right Honorable Chair, clause 18 is on penalty for malicious entry, seizure, and arrest. Right Honorable Chair, the House amended clause 18 by substituting for the word vexatious, wherever it appears, the words malicious and or without reasonable clause. I wish to make further amendment to clause 18 as follows. Clause 18 is amended in subclause 1 by inserting immediately after the words police officer, the phrase or any person authorized by the Inspector General of Police for purposes of this act. The justification, one, is that under clauses 80 and 85 of the bill, the Inspector General of Police is empowered to authorize other persons other than the police officers to search, seize, and detain or arrest, detain a person, package, or conveyance suspected to possess or to be used for conveying of narcotic drugs or psychotropic substances. The second justification is that the amendment is to broaden the penal provision to also apply to persons authorized of police under clauses 80 and 85 of this bill. In other words, we have other persons other than the police officer who are authorized to search and also arrest. And we are saying that the penalties should also apply to them.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I consider on this one, it's an improvement geared at ensuring uniformity of the various clauses of the subject.
Honorable Guzuri, you have on that?
Yeah, Chair, I wanted the mover to clarify why I should be held responsible if I've been authorized if I'm delegated to do something, why should I become responsible for the actions of the person who has delegated me?
Attorney General, to guide.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Chair. For example, an officer of the Uganda Revenue Authority, when vessels are coming in for purposes of customs, the police may say you may seize and arrest any person who is bringing in narcotic drugs. Now, when that officer of the URA arrests someone maliciously, that person will get the same punishment is that you have been placed in the position that the officer of the police would have been conducting that duty. That's an example of a person who may be in that position. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney General, my understanding is if I'm sent to arrest someone, the charge sheet should be clear, or the reasons for arrest are already defined, that you are going to arrest so and so for reasons A, B, C. So how does it become malicious on my side when I'm given instruction, you go and do this?
Honorable Vasari also had something, then you can answer Attorney General. Honorable Vasari, you had something to say? Okay. Attorney General.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I think the better thing is to read the entire provision, then it will put it in better perspective. A police officer or any other person authorized by the Inspector General of Police for purposes of this act, who, without reasonable grounds or suspicion, enters or searches or causes to be entered or searched any building, conveyance, or place, commits an offense. So if the customs officer is given a duty under this act to be one of those officers to enforce the provisions of this act, and he enters upon your premises without having reasonable grounds for doing so, he commits an offense as well. So it's not that he has been given an instruction, go and arrest. He's been given an instruction to perform the functions under this act for seizure and arrest lawfully. So if he does it unlawfully, he's personally liable. He cannot say that I was instructed by the, so that if the IGP instructs him to arrest you for no reason, that officer shouldn't do that.
Honorable Seshkuva. Colleagues, I've been informed that we have a problem with our AC system, but they are working on it. Kindly.
Chair, when I listened into the proposed amendment, it is to the effect that any other officer or person authorized by the Inspector General of Police. And I would like to go back to the original provision. The original provision was well contextualized, a police officer. But right, Honorable Speaker, the fear, my fear and I hope of members, once you allow persons to go search, that is a technical duty, right, Chair, that must be given to a person who is known for such. Because the Attorney General is very careful. He has alluded to the, say, Uganda Revenue Authority officers. But there could be circumstances where you are not applying the URA officers, but any other person, any other outfit could be ordered to go and search. And they do it sometimes maliciously. Living in Uganda, you can understand. Sometimes it is done maliciously to search, and sometimes because they are not professionals, they are not police officers, they can do a lot to implicate a person being searched. So that's why I would urge the chair, why don't we leave it with police? Because at the same time, once you say you are putting somebody authorized by the IGP and somehow you hold him liable, it means that everything is not well neat. Those officers who are going out to search should be very professional, should be conducting the search diligently, and searches are usually done procedurally. You cannot just wake up.
Colleagues, I want us to move. I
therefore propose for the chair and the mover to drop that amendment, right, Chair.
But Honorable Seshkubo, these people are provided for under 85. and 80. No, we shall, colleagues, I want to put it here. We processed a bill here. We are not going to start from clause 1 until the end that we are repeating the whole bill. Please, please, and don't make me make roll call for that day. Who was here and who was not here. So we did work. Once you are not here, you will not make us repeat work. Okay? I put a question that clause 18 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 18 as amended.
I put a question that clause 18 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 19.
Procedure, Honorable Semju, procedure.
Mr. Speaker, a while ago, you instructed the whips to invite all the MPs. Now your ruling is that those who are not here should not disturb. So the procedure issue I am raising is whether we should now ask those we have called to go away because they were not here last time.
No, Honorable, if you got my message very well, okay? If you got my message very well, we sat down here, we had quorum, we discussed the bill, we reached this stage. Now, if members are going to say, no, this clause, they show you, but this is governing this clause. No, we shall also handle it when we reach, because you are not here when we are handling that. You can't, we will not finish. Even if I gave you a whole year, we will not finish. The team that will come tomorrow will also demand the same. So I request colleagues, let's be fair. We did work, and I remember when we were here, colleagues said, but Right Honorable, you have taken so much time on this bill. Here, I said, Honorable colleagues, I want to give you enough time you handle the bill. We spent over nearly 10 hours in total on this bill. So let's appreciate the work we've done. And we don't open up to more. So, but for clarification, I'm sorry if that was, if those ones who came today wanted a maiden chance on this bill. Honorable Sechko is now my best ally on this that we finished. Yes, let's move.
Clause 19.
Chair. And if a clause affects other clauses, please refer to them so that members, all of them is a company.
Clause 19 is related to clause 18, penalty against a police officer. And we want to amend clause 19 as follows. A, in the head note, by inserting immediately after the words police officer, the words or authorized persons by the Inspector General of Police, and thereafter wherever the words appear in the clause. B, in paragraph A, by deleting the words of his or her office. The justification is that it is a consequential amendment arising from amending clause 18. And B, clause 19 is a penal provision against a police officer who doesn't perform a duty imposed on him or her or gives custody to a person charged with an offense under the Act. Therefore, since duties similar to those imposed on a police officer under the Act are also imposed on authorized persons under clauses 80 and 50, it is prudent that they're also penalized for the non-compliance.
Honorable Minister.
The recommittal is accepted for uniformity.
Because it's almost the same. If malicious at 18 is 10 years, and this is almost the same, perverting justice. Thank you. So I move.
We can first, yes, I will allow you, Honorable Isaac. Don't mind.
Right, Honorable Chair, I wanted to get clarification from the mover. Under this act, we have given responsibilities and duties to several people, including ministers. For example, is it the proposal from the mover that if a minister, for example, charged with responsibility of licensing, does not license, then can be charged penally under this provision? Because once you put any other person under this act, you are talking about the members of the committees. You remember we have formed some committees somewhere, all of them. Is it the
But
interest?
honorable, I thought this was on handling of narcotics, actual handling.
If you read it the way it is, I just want to be sure if that is okay, and I would be very happy to get ministers arraigned in court for me.
Attorney General?
No, ministers should not be. This one is the persons authorized by the IGP. These ones are the ones authorized by the IGP, not authorized to carry out any function under this act. Maybe just to clarify, the provision that I have, if I understand it, is that a person or police officer or any other person authorized by the IGP for purposes of this act. That's the amendment. It is right similar to the first one and the second one.
So if it's a consequential amendment, it will be reckoned up. I put a question that clause 19 on the penalty. Attorney General, what do you say on the penalty?
Right, Honorable Chair. I think the issue of the penalty is always a discretion of the House in this time to prescribe. However, in section 18, you are intruding mainly in the space of another person. Section 18 is not the same as 19. In 18, the police officer is infringing on another person's rights. You enter someone's home, you arrest them, that is entering the other person's space. This one is a personal offense. You fail to perform your duty. So the penalty may not be the same, but it's up to the House. I would propose, Right Honorable Chair, that the offense be left as it is, because it is more of the failure. But the clear text on the 19.
Can I, because it was moved by Honorable Pio. Honorable Pio, can you come back on the floor and you read the proposed amendment? Because I don't want Attorney General to clarify it for you when you're the one who moves. No. The clear amendment, Honorable Jonathan Odur, once you get the very clear amendment you read, you said was consequential.
The amendment is when starting immediately after the words police officer, the words or authorized person by the Inspector General of Police. So either police officer or authorized person by the Inspector General of Police. And the justification I gave is related to 80, section clause 80 and 85, which is very specific on the powers of search, seizure, arrest, and detention. So it doesn't go outside that particular scope.
Honorable,
Right, Honorable Chair, that's exactly why I wanted us to read the entirely. Here it says, a police officer on whom any duty is imposed under this act. On whom any duty is imposed under this act. So if you introduce any other person authorized by the IGP, is still subject to the duty imposed under this act, unless you revise it. By interpretation, you mean that any other person. But if the Attorney General clears, I have no problem.
I think, Honorable Du, you're correct. A police officer or any other person authorized by the IGP on whom any duty is imposed under this act. It's the person they're talking about here must have the authority of the IGP, and then they will fall under this. It's perfectly fine, in my view.
Okay, Honorable Isaac.
Chair, I'm afraid I'll beg to stand by my earlier amendment, because if we read section 19B, it actually carries a much bigger offense. B says if a person gives custody to a drug addict or any other person who is charged with an offense under this act. This is actually bigger. And I actually like to move my motion to amend the penalty under section 19 to 5 years, please.
Honorable Minister.
I thought the Attorney General had made the clear distinction, but it's not a do or die matter. We concede on that.
Thank you. Now we have captured the proposal from Honorable Dr. Opio and Honorable Isaac Tim Uganda. I put a question that clause 19 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 19 as amended.
I put a question that clause 19 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 52.
Dr. Pio.
Clause 52 is on interpretation of part 4. Right Honorable Chair, clause 52 is to be amended, is amended in the definition of the word center by inserting immediately before the word rehabilitation, the words treatment and. That means it will read treatment and rehabilitation center. The justification, this is a consequential amendment to clause 53, which was already passed by the House, which provides for the objects of the centers as including treatment of persons with substance use disorder.
Honorable Minister.
It's a consequential amendment, so it's allowed.
Thank you. I put a question that clause 52 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 52 as amended.
I put a question that clause 52 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye and the contrary nay. Ayes have it.
Clause 69.
Dr. Pio.
Clause 69, Right Honorable Chair, the House amended clause 69, and among other subclauses, the House amended subclause 2C. However, upon realization that paragraph C contravenes the constitutional mandate of Parliament to make laws. If you read clause 2C, it gives powers of the committee to update and adapt laws and regulations on narcotic and psychotropic substances. I therefore propose a further amendment by substituting paragraph C with the following. Advise the minister on legislative measures in respect of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. The justification is that Article 79 of the Constitution of Uganda clothes the Parliament of Uganda with the power to make laws. It will therefore contradict the powers given to Parliament for the National Coordination Committee for Control of Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances to have the power to update laws and regulations to control narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, unless the authority is expressly given by Parliament under Article 979(2) of the Constitution.
Yeah, honorable colleagues, if you remember on that one, we agreed that it will come as recommittal because we had already moved. So I think that's why you brought it. Honorable Semuju. But before Honorable Semuju, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have students and teachers of Busurwa Memorial Secondary School from Kiboga District, represented by Honorable Dr. Kefa Kwanuka and Honorable Kaya Christine. They've come to observe proceedings of the House. Please join me in welcoming them. Oh, sorry. Yes. Colleagues in the public gallery this afternoon, we have pupils and teachers of Bishop East Nursery and Primary School from Mukono Municipality, represented by Honorable Betty Nambos and Honorable Nabukera Hanifa. They've come to observe proceedings of this House. If they are still around, please join me in welcoming them. Okay. That's gone on record that we welcomed them. I'm sorry, I always need to be informed early so that we do that. Yes, Honorable Semuju.
Right Honorable Chair, I think we ran into trouble by making registration too detailed. That committee does not have to be prompted to advise that legislative measures must be taken. I don't think it's necessary to put it in a law that one of your roles, please study and then advise the minister on legislative roles. My proposal is just delete it completely. That's their duty. We are appointing professionals, adults. They should do their job.
Honorable Minister, what do you say about that?
The Honorable Semuju is adding more sense to the subject. I would perfectly agree that usurping the role of Parliament is out of the question, but also he's saying that advice shouldn't be provided in the text of the bill, and I tend to agree with him.
Thank you.
So we can expand C.
Thank you. Honorable Mover, Dr. Pio.
I concede.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, I put the question that clause 69 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say, and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 69 as amended.
I put a question that clause 69 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 90.
Yes. Honorable Batua.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
No, don't worry.
Clause 90 will be a consequence of amendment in the fourth schedule. So I beg that we move it after that.
We stand over it. Okay. Yeah, it says it would be a consequential amendment if we take the proposed motion for schedule of deleting for schedule. So we'd have a consequential amendment on clause 90. So he's requesting that we first handle the fourth schedule and then we come back clause 90. Okay. Yes. Clerk, we go to the schedule.
Fourth schedule.
Ms. Honorable Batua.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to convince this House that we amend the fourth schedule, which has the prohibited plants, a list of the prohibited plants. I was in this House while handling that matter, and I came in with a suggestion, presented it in this House. I was given a response for which I went and did further inquiry. So I come to you now with more information, and I feel you should give me a chance to debate this matter conclusively. Right Honorable Speaker, the matter is on Katha Endulis, Kat Mairunji, which is appearing on the list of prohibited plants. That is the matter. And it is that matter that is going to decide two things: whether in this House we are legislating consistently. That's number one.
Honorable,
most important,
listen, Honorable, please. When you are presenting your case, you don't blackmail the House. Okay? Work of the House, first take your seat. You cannot say all the work we've always been doing will be subjected to passing of Merunji for it to be known that we were legislating consistently. No, please, Honorable, withdraw that statement. That's not accepted in the House.
The statement is withdrawn in the spirit the Speaker has enumerated. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I want to take your attention to March this year, early this year, when we were legislating the local content bill. It was brought back to us by the President, and the interest was that we should legislate having East Africa in mind. We concluded that bill by prioritizing, we gave priority to procurement of goods from East Africa. And it was against what we had. It is that consistency that I want to discuss in this law. The product we call cat, we call Mairunji, Katha Endulis, is a product that is recreational in nature among our neighbors. People in Somalia use it. In Ethiopia, use it. In Eritrea, use it. Djibouti, Kenya.
These people live with us as a business community. They live with us as refugees. They live with us, they drive the trailers, long distance truck drivers. And they say, as they consume this product, it keeps them awake. And this is the work they do. This is their line of work. The debate of these products, the debate of recreational products, namely the three, tobacco, alcohol, and this particular one, is a debate that can only be understood by the people representing their own people. There are jurisdictions you'll go to and find alcohol prohibited. There are jurisdictions that have prohibited tobacco. We find homosexuality legal in certain jurisdictions. But we find the same vice illegal in other jurisdictions. Uganda is a unique country. Uganda is a unique country. It's in Uganda that we have 529.
Let's listen to our colleague. And IT, please mute our colleagues on Zoom. All of them.
Uganda is a unique country that we have a parliament of 529 members of parliament, meaning that the country is overrepresented. And it is to that benefit that we are able to recognize some of us who stay in our constituencies with the Somali brothers and sisters, with those from other East African, destinations, that these people actually use this product and they understand it the same way we debate and argue for alcohol, the same way we debate and argue for tobacco. The way you see tobacco is the way these people see Mairunji. It's the way these people see cat or Katha Endulis. The way you see alcohol is the same way these people see this product. We are legislating for our own people. I pray.
Point of order, Honorable Chibadia.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a beer company called Nairo and another one called Uganda Breweries, and they collect revenue. We have companies that process tobacco and they collect revenue. A colleague is insinuating that even we have a company for Mairunji that could be bringing revenue. Is in order to confuse and insinuate a situation that much as we have Uganda breweries and we have tobacco, so on and so forth, it should be treated in the same spirit with the factor and those that consume Mairunji. Right, Honorable Speaker, is in order.
Thank you. Now, colleagues in the public gallery this afternoon, we have teachers and students from various schools under the Queen of Apostles Katimba Catholic Parish from Zimbabwe District, represented by Honorable Namga Goretti and Honorable Vegumisa Mary. They've come to observe proceedings of the House. Please join me in our camera. Now, honorable colleagues, the member is going to conclude. Oh no, but when someone is holding the floor, you sit. Hey, these are simple rules you should get accustomed to. Okay? Yeah. So because they brought a point of order. Now, it will be up to you, honorable colleagues, to judge. The decision will be for the House. What I do, I facilitate a member to present his view here. Now, after him, Honorable Batua, I'm expecting another member also who will stand up and say, no, in the Netherlands and in Canada, they allow cannabis. So as also recreation. So you also allow cannabis to be used here. And so that Canadians who will be visiting Uganda can, because they are also our brothers and sisters, because each one will present their case. Those ones of Merunje, I will allow you to present. Those ones of hemp, I will allow you. Those ones of cannabis, I will allow you. Those ones of even poison, I will allow you, if it fits in here. And shisha and everything. And then I'll put a question. So, Honorable, I want you to be specific. What do you want the House to do? Because I've given you enough time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Honorable members and colleagues, this is the direction I believe we should take.
The direction is that tobacco has a control act, which is the Tobacco Control Act 2015. Alcohol has a regulating law. This particular recreational product doesn't have a control law. And thankfully, we are deliberating a law that is related to that business. It is therefore at this moment that I seek your support that we introduce another schedule through which we shall control this product, such that a Ugandan who has never tested doesn't test. You get it? And it is this schedule, that we shall call the controlled plants. The other ones are prohibited plants. Here we want the controlled plants. The evidence is also in the report of the committee. If you go through the report of the committee, a study has been done in Butavika. Butavika is our national referral hospital. There is no way we can dispute a study in Butavika. And this study was looking at 70,000 admitted cases. And of those 70,000, 44% were due to alcohol abuse.
But Honorable Batua, you see, officers who are not able to come here, he wanted to build words to them. The head of Butavika came and proposed the ban of cutting before the committee. So now if you're using Butavika, I want it to be clear, the head of Butavika came and proposed that we ban it.
Chair. Right, Honorable Speaker, the head of Butavika is a technical person. For us here, we are people's representatives. More than cut, the head of Butavika is also proposing to ban alcohol.
Thank you.
That is the truth of the matter. The head of Butavika is proposing to ban alcohol. But let us look at the study which is within the main report. Let us look at that study. The study indicating that 44% of the patients they have there that they admitted, the 7,000 patients, 44% were mentally ill because of excessive use of alcohol. 31% it was cannabis. Cannabis is what you call marijuana, the one they smoke. But 2.1% was due to stimulants like cat. So we are coming up with a law that is against a big part of East Africans in the interest of 2%. This is when we should rise to the call.
Honorable, can you propose your amendment? Can you propose? Just go straight.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Yeah. The amendment, we are amending the fourth schedule to delete Katha Senduris. That is the Mairunji cat, number one. Number two, we introduce the sixth schedule, fifth schedule, which is going to house the controlled plants. And on that list, we include Kathas and Dulis. Let the minister control it to the extent she wishes, the age at which somebody starts taking it. Who plants it? Let her restrict how it is supplied. Let the minister control everything about it to the extent she deems necessary. But East Africa should be represented in the way we legislate. Number two, if you pass that law, if you concede to that proposal, the consequence.
Thank you. Honorable, that's enough.
About the consequence.
No. If you have any new schedule, you can propose it later.
Just one thing. This proposal is not going to do a lot of change in the law that has already taken us a lot of time to build. The changes are only in two areas, in clause 2, which is interpretation, to provide for a definition of controlled plants. Number one. Number two, it will be
Honorable, please take your seat. Honorable Cecile Ogwa, then allow Attorney General first.
Procedurally, before Attorney General comes in, I think the practice of Parliament or committees is that when a subject matter is discussed extensively, then it can be a subject of recommittal. But in this particular case, was it extensively discussed in the committee. And if it is not, I think this parliament will be departing from the normal practice that we are now reintroducing a matter which was not a serious matter at the committee level, but you are now bringing it at the plenary level. So, Right Honorable Speaker, procedurally, I disagree with the introduction of another schedule.
Honorable Cecilia Gwal, what you're raising is clearly stipulated. Rule 134.4. Yes. What you are raising, Honorable, introducing the new schedule is contrary to Rule 134.4. You have your rules of procedure. So it's anchored, the argument of Honorable Cecilia Gwal is anchored on the rule. Honorable Attorney General, let the Attorney General first guide us whether even up to now it is not under control. Okay? He gives us a clarification. We've heard from one side, let's hear from this side, then we open up.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Chair. A prohibited substance is defined in this proposed act as the substances set out in the first schedule. And as Honorable Batua correctly stated, this cut is listed as one of the items, kata and dulis, as the second item of the prohibited substances. Section 11 of this act provides that the minister responsible for health may issue a license to cultivate or gather a prohibited substance. This law has not prohibited the use of cut. It has regulated it by requiring anyone who wants to grow cut to get a license from the minister. That's what Section 11 says. Secondly, I think, honorable colleagues, what Honorable Batua said is actually very important, that 2% of the people are in Butabika for use of cut-like substances. Stimuli, cut-like stimuli. It will be very sad for us to come back here a while later and that number has increased to 10. In fact, what we should be legislating for is to get to 0. And your arguments, as you make them, are actually important. And it's with that report that you have, maybe we need to start considering how to discuss the issue of regulating the use of alcohol. If it is indeed has 47% of the people, and I think we cannot stand as a parliament and even prescribe or even allow for even one Ugandan to be the subject of the, I beg to submit.
Now, honorable colleagues, one of the colleagues pushing for cut came to me and said, we are losing big money for Somalia. I said, so is Somalia a good example? You can use that they took cut, okay? And therefore, we become like Somalia. Is it one of the best examples you can use? Honorable Basarira.
Thank you very much, Chair. I seek clarification from the Honorable Batua. This bill is intended to cure some mischief. From your medical point of view, it would be better to advise us on the health implications of taking Mairungi vis-a-vis not taking Mairungi. Because this bill here, and Chair, for your information, I'm the one who moved the private members bill here, although you've not been giving me opportunity to articulate on it. But it was intended to cure a mischief. Part of it relates to the negative effects or consequences of consumption, growing some of these substances that we are calling prohibited. So you could help us contextualize the consequences, especially the medical, the health, the negative consequences, so that as we take a decision, we are conscientized on that aspect. Leave out the economy, leave out the other aspects, but precisely that, and also contextualize it with the Butabika. Then we'll be moving together. Otherwise, when we have reports from Butabika, And as the learned Attorney General said, talking about 2%, even if it was 0.1%, as long as there is that consequence, as an institution, we really need to be concerned about it. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Santarum, then Honorable Jomujenyi.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Right, Honorable Chair.
No, Honorable Semuju, you can submit in this house without only using procedure. Because I know the trick is always to box me in a corner, but even procedure, I can decide take it or not. So you can submit without going through procedure. And I'll give you a chance, okay? Honorable Santa.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Chair. Right Honorable Chair, I would like to ask Dr. Batoa Timothy, who also, as far as I can remember, happens to have attended the meeting that we had for mental health with a consultant from Botabika. And it was so worrying, the information that they gave us, and they really requested this parliament to come up with a law to help the young people in this country because of the adverse effects of some of these drugs. And Kata is one of them. So the point of clarification that I want to ask from the doctor is whether it's okay for us to look at the livelihood of the people vis-a-vis the health threat that we always associated with the risk of chewing these drugs.
Thank you. And Honorable Batua, you will tell us whether you're not satisfied with the control provided for under Section 11, under Clause 11. Okay.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Then after I pick the procedure matter from Honorable Semuju.
The clarification I would like to get from the good doctor is about this Katha Endulis, whereby when you look at what he was explaining, that it helps the drivers of trucks not sleep, and yet we are getting so many accidents on the roads caused by some of these, the effects of these taking some of these things. It is very important to understand that in Uganda, road safety has been a problem. There are so many accidents happening, and those accidents could be attributed to consuming some of these products. So I would like him to articulate for us
It will clarify.
if it will, if his proposal is actually having a positive impact on the truck drivers. Thanks.
Now I learned something from Honorable Batua that whereas in the Western world, they say you drive for not more than 10 hours or 8 hours. In Uganda, we say when you reach on 8 hours, take Meirunji and proceed on the road. so yes, so Honorable Semuju.
Mr. Chair, mine is a procedural issue on two fronts. You asked the Attorney General what his opinion was on this proposal. And he said that actually it is provided. That's how I understood him. At that stage, it meant actually that there is no problem. Cut is not prohibited completely. The procedure issue I am raising is whether at that stage we should not have asked the mover to see if what is moving is not taken care of by the provision the Attorney General cited, say that we don't go in a debate looking for a solution for a problem that already solved. That is the procedure issue. The second procedure, say twofold. As far as I know, Somalia is not in problems because of cut. It was because of the overstay in power by Siad Barre. So the problems that Somalia went through and they are still going through are as a result of leaders. If you need to read President Yoweri Museveni's book, when he said Africa's problems are leaders who overstay in power, only for him to say you remove term limit, remove age limit, to do exactly what he had written about as a problem. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No. Honorable colleagues, I allowed Honorable Semuju. I gave a blank check to Honorable Semuju that he can always find any way of bringing President Museveni in whatever situation. Because you see, yeah, he has his own arguments on that line. Honorable Jonathan Oduru, but Honorable Semuju, on the point you raised, the first one, yes, that's what I could have done at that time, but I knew some sentiments. Okay, I knew the sentiments because I know where we are coming from and why it's coming back and all that. Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even allowed Honorable Batua, who was not here when we were passing this close.
Right, Honorable Chair, I was a bit hesitant at the beginning to point out that we cannot proceed to discuss a schedule without discussing the substantive provision, because a schedule is an attachment. Without that section of the law that you want to, you cannot come to the schedule. And the reason why I have risen now is to draw your attention to this first schedule. This first schedule is anchored on sections 2 and 93. And Honorable Batua had sought to move under section clause 90 of this act. But when you look at 93, we already provided for the minister on the approval of parliament to remove or even add any, meaning that if there are any compelling reasons at some point to add or to remove this plant, it can be done with the approval of parliament. And my understanding from his submission is that he wants to introduce the word control, which we substantially debated under clause 11. You remember I raised objections on the use of the word prohibited, because my point at that time was that if you say prohibited, are we saying strictly prohibited? But then the intention of the law was that it should be regulated. And that's why you gave the ministers powers under clause 11, that the minister can then license anyone to grow any of the 4 listed crops here. So I wanted the Honorable Batua to be clear to us, what is your definition of control? Because you want to introduce control, a schedule on control, so that we can see whether the controls, as we understood it and provided for under 1193, is different from the control that you are trying to bring to us.
Honorable Dr. Batua. No, let Honorable Batua first answer.
I will start from back going to front.
And please, 2 minutes this time.
Okay.
2 minutes strictly.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. From the definition of, from the last comment, the list of prohibited plants has 5 products. Of these 5, the other 4 products I would not personally support giving the minister power to really allow them to be consumed, even if it is in a controlled way. Because this is cocaine, basically, plants from which cocaine can be gotten. The very plants giving headache to governments in South America, where drug trafficking is at the rise. So with that in mind, we want to introduce this controlled schedule where Katha and Dulis will be, so that the minister can exert her power and authority to control, number 1, who cultivates it. If it's Butambala, let it stay as Butambala. Let's not find another area doing it again. Number 2, how it is supplied. Number 3, how it is consumed. With cigarettes, because it's one of the recreational products that is controlled, the Ugandan law requires one to be 21 years of age. The Japanese law, 20 years of age. It is that control that we really have to see in our laws. And we can only provide for that if we only come up with a controlled plants under this schedule.
We have a question which is very simple. How is it different from what is provided for under clause 11
Thank you very
and
much.
clause 93?
Thank you very much. How it is provided for in the law For the cultivation, it is okay, the minister has powers to decide on who cultivates, but this law is not explicit on how consumption is. The people allowed to consume are those with
Switch on, Honorable.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. The law, the law as it is okay with cultivation, but the law as it is not okay with other parameters that are very crucial. The one of supply and consumption. The law recommends consumption by way of prescription, and it stipulates who writes that prescription. It even says that it's the pharmacist to supply. Now, we do not see how Mairungi, cat, or Gatha endulis will be prescribed for those people to eat as a recreation product.
Honorable Chivumbi.
Honorable Chair, I thank you for this chance. I think Honorable Batua is using many words to speak for what is clear. This bill is narcotic, drugs, and psychotropic substance control bill. Now, where we had issues earlier and Honorable alluded to it, was to reach the schedule, and the schedule does not speak to the title. The schedule says prohibited plants. For consistency, because once you prohibit, by extension, you have prohibited, you can't license. Once you say you have prohibited, then on earth, you can't have another person says, I can license what Parliament has prohibited. So the argument for consistency of the title and the title of the schedule is that it should be controlled plants to speak to the head of the bill. And that's the argument, Right Honorable Chair.
Attorney General.
Right Honorable, if it answers our colleague's issue, we can change the word prohibited plants to controlled plants and amend the definition from controlled plant, from prohibited plant to controlled plant, like Honorable Dur had suggested before. We thought that we had explained this adequately, but we are happy to do that.
Right Honorable Speaker, I agree.
Thank you. Now, so colleagues, but as you have also had much earlier on, the schedule is the result of a clause. So meaning we have to go back to 11 and then of course 2, okay, and 93, but which would be a consequential amendment. So should we amend a clause? Please, colleagues, when we make progress, let we move. Listen, when we make progress, I want us to move. And I always read the mood. Okay. So colleagues, should we now say if we amend the schedule as proposed and we say control, we would have consequential amendments of the other clauses, including 2, where we have to redefine now. Okay. Yeah. Dr. Bwanika.
Chair, I just wanted a clarification. We are using terminology that is understood internationally when you are talking about narcotics. Is cocaine a controlled plant? This parliament wants to believe that you can put cocaine under a schedule of controlled plant. The two are different. You are talking about cat. The abuse of cat is low. That can be a controlled plant. But cocaine is a high risk. It must be in a prohibited category. This is language that is understood internationally. How can a parliament of Uganda, how can we say that we have come up with a law where cocaine is controlled? Cocaine. Right, Honorable Chair.
Last time.
Yeah, honorable colleagues. You see, honorable colleagues, the country is watching us on this, and the country would want to understand us better, especially leaving no room. Me, the way I had understood clause 11 was it was an exception to the prohibition. Because for every general rule, there is an exception. Now, the exception, really because we are trying to cater for cut, okay? We weaken the whole bill. Even doctor was concerned because of cut, we want to accommodate cut. Honorable Batua, when you look at the exception under 11, really it should be satisfactory. It's a very clear exception.
The exception under 11 is an exception to cultivation, and that's it. But if we are allowed to introduce controlled plants, then the minister can have power to control the supply and consumption of this product. And that is what we are asking.
Attorney General.
Number two, the public health concern of this product in lieu of other recreational products like alcohol and tobacco. With tobacco, you all know about lung cancer.
We know the problem we have. Don't bring the things which we know are not of a big problem to community to try to convince us to move away from a bigger problem. Please, we know the problem we are facing as a community. Let's focus on that. Rob?
Right Honorable Chair, I actually thought we had made good progress because where the debate had ended before Dr. Bwanika threw a spanner in the works was actually where we had a very long meeting this morning with my team over that clause. And your interpretation of clause 11 is my interpretation. Probably where we lost it is where Dr. Batua wanted to introduce Schedule 5 to take care of the long title of the bill, that there is some degree of consistency, that we have controlled, and also take care of Dr. Bwanik's worry of prohibition. The Land Attorney General is aware, as well as our lawyers do, that when there is a conflict in the interpretation of laws, they go back to what was the intention of Parliament. And this debate must inform the intention of Parliament. What is our intention? To wholly prohibit or to give room for a level, a modicum of control of particular substance that would not lose the entire purpose for this legislation? Honorable Speaker, I would like to pray and plead that maybe as a movement towards the center, you allow for accommodation of a fifth schedule to decipher prohibition from control. Thank you.
We already have a fifth schedule anyway, which is, so it will be another schedule. But, colleagues, the county is watching. Not everyone will interpret the way you interpret. The moment you are going to go out here, and Parliament has allowed the use of drugs. I'm telling you what the public is getting. I'm just giving you the true picture. Okay? So let us be very clear. Let Attorney General be very clear. In under 11 currently, Honorable Basari, I wanted to under 11. The concern of Honorable Batua is that you have controlled, you have given an exception to the control of cultivation. But now supply and trade, okay? Where is it provided for, Attorney General? Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I'm looking at the title of the bill because the Right Honorable Leader of Opposition was talking about principles of statutory interpretation. One of them is actually looking at the title of the bill. There are now two contentious issues that need to be harmonized from this title. And I want to propose, as the Attorney General comes in, to consider looking at this bill to capture both aspects of control and prohibition. And I want to propose that in the title itself, and this will capture the concerns of the Honorable Abed Wanika and the Honorable Batu and all of us, we talk about the narcotics, drugs, and psychotropic substances prohibition and control bill, so that even as we are talking about consequentially in the schedules, whatever we want to do it, both will be covered. And right on, Speaker, the worry that the public might misconstrue our intentions will be addressed by that title. I beg to submit.
Attorney General.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Abed. First of all, you raise a very important issue. And I don't know whether this would cure it if we went to fourth schedule and marked it prohibited and or controlled plants. So yes, let me finish. Because we have two categories, and like Honorable Asuma Ambassador has just pointed out, we amend the title to deal with prohibition and control. We have two aspects that this bill is dealing with. This bill is prohibiting use, but also controlling. Even marijuana, we've had arguments that there's some medicinal purposes, and we are saying for you to use it for medicinal purposes, you must have a license issued by NDA and is provided for in Section 14. So your concern of how they will use, first of all, Section 11 is dealing with cultivation because it's a real issue here today. If you want to cultivate it, you get a license. If you want to use it for other purposes, go to Section 14, Clause 14, get a license under NDA, and then export, sell, do whatever you want to do with any controlled or prohibited substance. So that way we deal with the issue and put it, because tomorrow if another substance is, we decide to control it, say beer, we can put it here, or whatever, we can put it here because it covers both controlled and prohibited substance.
Colleagues, Honorable Tinker, would that be middle ground?
Yes.
Sorry. After Tinker, Honorable Kanusu.
Right, Honorable Chairperson. The learned Attorney General is trying to cure the problem. But where I would not want us to leave the public confused, when we are introducing that schedule, as he's saying, we must bring out prohibited and write it as prohibited and bring the following A, B, C. Then control A, B, C. There I will agree with you. But to just lump them up, we will have left the public confused. Even the courts will, and you know, a judge is protected under Article 126. He can choose to interpret the way he wants. When you leave that room of being confused or of coming to look for the intention of the legislature by extracting the parliamentary Hansard at interpretation level. Thank you, Right Honorable Chairperson.
Okay, but honorable colleagues, really, when I was looking at this, the prohibition is sending a message. Because when you are sending a message, you don't send it with weak language. It was sending a message that in Uganda, this is prohibited. However, if you are to do it, okay, you must follow ABCD provided for under the law. I don't know what the difference will be for license conditions, for prohibition, and the ones for control by the same minister. They can be the same. But if the minister issues the same, so what are we trying really to? Honorable Kanushi?
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to be on record
because the people that we have been talking about in Butabika, in rehabilitation centers, are my constituency. I want this parliament to go on record today that we are passing a law that increases the number of people with mental illness. Right, Honorable Speaker, I am reading a report here from the World Health Organization that talks about the effects of CAT: insomnia, depression, anxiety, malacia, all those depression, excessive talkativeness. Right, Honorable Speaker, all those conditions are described as mental illness or mental disorders. We are here saying the number is small. Are we telling the world that we want to see the number of people with mental illness increase? And I want to say, as a representative of persons with disabilities, that we have no intention whatsoever of increasing the number of any form of disability. That's why the government, the NRM government, has kicked out polio, because we don't want to see an increased number of polio cases like myself. The same way I don't want to see the increased number of cases of polio like myself, I do not want the number to jump from the 2% that the Honorable Mover is talking about to 10%. We do not intend to increase our constituency, Mr. Speaker. And we cannot confuse the two words, control and prohibition. Whether you're a lawyer or not, those are two different words.
Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable colleagues, my role here is to make sure that we move. And I listen to you. Please, don't usurp my power. It is very clear, for example, under our traffic laws, that it is prohibited to drive from a different side. Okay? From the opposite lane. But under that same ambulances, and even me, the speaker, by the way, I'm around. But it is prohibited. Okay? So the exceptions which are clear, let us use examples that are clear in our society. Honorable colleagues, I put a question that Schedule 4 be amended as proposed by Honorable Dr. Batua. Those in favor say aye and the contrary nay. The nays have it. Yeah, honorable colleagues, the other amendments which had been proposed would have been consequential amendments if we had amended, if we had taken the amendment by Dr. Batua.
Motion for the House to resume.
Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister. Procedure. Honorable Guzuri.
Chair, thank you for listening to me. Chair, I'm acutely aware this law is being processed without a regulatory impact assessment, which is needed prior to processing any law. We should be able to understand the economic and social impact of any law we are going to process. Looking at the schedule we have just agreed with, there are people, as already submitted by colleagues here, whose livelihood is dependent on CAT edulis, for which the government must be able to take necessary steps before the law comes in.
Honorable colleague, please take your seat.
I need to know what the government plans to do.
Honorable.
In transition, what is the alternative?
Now, honorable colleagues. Honorable colleagues. First, honorable colleagues, please. We debated the law. My brother, if you can see on record how many times my brother Uguzuri submitted on this law. If you could see how many times he submitted over 10 times on this law. Now, when you are submitting, didn't you know that government had not done enough studies and all. And this is an issue you never raised. So colleagues, I don't want us to go in any tactics which are aimed at frustrating Parliament from doing its work, please. But the record is clear. We have captured your issue, Honourable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I beg to move that the House do resume and the committee of the whole House reports thereto.
Thank you. I put a question that the House do resume and the committee of the whole House reports thereto. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Report from the committee of the whole House.
Honourable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I beg to report that the committee of the whole House has considered the bill entitled the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Bill 14 of 2023 and passed with amendments the recommitted clauses that they would submit.
About the question that the report of the committee of the whole House be adopted, those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Bill third reading.
Honourable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Control Substances Bill be read for the third time and do pass into law. I beg to move.
I put the question that the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Control Bill 2023 be read the third time and do pass. Those in favor say aye, to the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act entitled the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Act 2023.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, I want to thank you. I want to congratulate you. Honorable colleagues, when we are passing laws, it's lively for us to argue. Yeah, and you present issues of your constituents. And I want to thank you, those who presented issues of the constituents. And I want to thank you others who listened. It's important for us to give you a chance luckily enough, there is none who disrupted. We were all well behaved. So, Honorable Minister, I want to congratulate you. Honorable Chair, I want to congratulate you. Honorable members, maybe Honorable Chair, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, Chair for Internal Affairs, and Honorable Attorney General.
Right, Honorable
really
Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and congratulate ourselves for a job very well done. The depth, the length, and the width with which the House handled this debate was unprecedented. I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, especially for your guidance and leadership when it was necessary that the two concerned committees, one of Defense and Internal Affairs and the other one of Health, do harmonize positions. We needed leadership, which you gave. I would want to congratulate you on that. We greatly benefited from that. I want to congratulate my committee members. You did a great job. I want to congratulate the Committee of Health that came in and all these health experts and provided the necessary guidance that we needed to pass this law. And the law and all other people who guided, we feel honored that we have finally delivered a piece of legislation that has a direct bearing on our people. I thank you, and I thank the minister for God and my country.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Vice Chair Harris.
I also want to take this opportunity to thank, first of all, the Speaker for the guidance that he gave, to the members for the great contributions that you've been able to give, and also for the members of the Health Committee. Our deepest concern was on matters of public health. And when you looked at the statistics, we said, let's not just legislate for 44%. Let's legislate even for the 2%, for the 1%. And we're happy that today we've legislated for everyone who is affected. But we're legislating to protect those who have not been affected, but also to ensure that those who have been affected can be able to access rehabilitation services. That's a very key inclusion within that, and we want to thank you so much for that. So I want to congratulate you all and thank you.
Thank you. Minister, Honourable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend my sincere appreciation to you, Right Honorable Speaker, for steering and shepherding the process of enacting this important legislation. I relay our gratitude and will remain in your debt. The Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs, through the chair, alongside the Health Committee and its able chair, we can't thank you enough, and your members for the meticulous work and effort you put in the process that culminates into this law today. My colleague at Health and the Honorable Attorney General, your input was critical in forging common ground and giving the process the requisite cleanup. To the whole House, you unreservedly and with unanimity gave it your all, with objectivity and without any biases. Your contributions were enriching. I have faith that without a doubt, this law will serve the ends it set out to achieve. I beg to submit, Honorable Speaker and members.
Thank you. Next time, Honorable Minister, you come to read, you need to share the statement. So, always ensure we. Now, colleagues, I want to really thank you. Now, colleagues, the problem of substance abuse is big. It starts small. Honorable Komakech guided us the other day. Shisha, cat, kuba, keeps going up story by story, upgrading. We need to talk to our children about it. In the schools, it's a problem. We've had harrowing tales. Now, honorable colleagues, if you've not had an addict in your family, it's when you don't know what it means. Personally, I have one. I want to confess. We are going through a lot as a family. We have tried whatever. We found the young boy started in small things. These ones which you have in your compound are here for cows to treat your chicken is what will kill your children. That's where they will start from. This one which you take in tea, just leaves, green leaves, as if it's mint, that you're treating COVID, is what is going to kill your children, honorable colleagues. And you know, it starts in a simple way. But you know, we have many colleagues who are dying slowly. Their children, they've lost control. So from alcohol and now also social media abuse. Our children, social media has become a very big problem for it, I don't know, but it mainly goes back to the parent. Are we doing our job? So I urge all of you, honorable colleagues, go back, teach your constituencies, talk to your parents in your constituencies, talk to their hearts. It starts small. It starts someone chewing a small, you know, it starts you having people to work for you and you want them to work for nearly 20 hours and you say you have cut. And they have extra energy and they work for extra hours, but your children will learn from them. So I urge you, honorable colleagues, we take up this matter seriously and ensure that indeed we fight it together. We can't just leave it to the Rwanda government. We have to take it on as parents. Now, honorable colleagues, when I was starting, I had matters of national importance, which I want to first speak before I allow anything else. And please, I request that you spare me, please. Oh, procedure, what, let me first speak these issues. I kept, Honorable Koruo, Joseph, I will allow, even procedure is at the discretion of the speaker. So I will allow at the time I feel I'm able to take it.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker. I'm rising on a matter of national importance regarding the purported pastors who have ended up preaching in the roads with loud speakers and in markets. Honorable Speaker, I know some members might take this thing as simple, but be sure a majority of the people who are driving in the roads have ended up causing many accidents, and a majority of the pedestrians, mostly the children, have been injured because of this. My humble request, my humble request, my humble prayer, my humble prayer is the ministry in charge ethics and integrity to control these people so that they are in their respective places, especially in churches, and they should be registered because a majority of them have ended up even conning other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I've found these people in the streets. Some of them start tormenting you. You don't have an issue with them. They start bringing a Bible. He wants to throw it in your face as if he's holier than me. He doesn't even know whether I'm coming from church. And for him, he's been here. They start harassing people. But I don't know where the solution is. I know you're a pastor. So you wanted to say something?
I wanted to clarify something. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me way. I agree with the member. I agree with you, my brother. I am a pastor and I pastor a church here in Kampala. But I was putting you on order on the word purported pastors. Those are not pastors. Sometimes, okay. Thank you, thank you. Protect me, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, you're protected.
Protect me, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, you're protected.
In the same spirit, I want to defend the rightful servants of God. In the spirit which my brother has put it forth, attacking all of them as though all servants of God are bad, it is in the same spirit my brother would condemn pollution, noise pollution from discourse, from those marketing, beers, alcohol, bars, all over in our doorsteps, wherever we stay. You would have condemned everything in the same spirit. I thank you. But the good one,
Minister.
Thank you.
Now, no minister is ready to talk about pastors. Right on, Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, it is of course disturbing when you find somebody throwing books in your face, and then others also shouting because they are doing business, but we shall I will make a follow-up in terms of managing the city. Thank you.
Honorable Robin Arakojo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I raise on a matter of national importance regarding the Mpiji Kanoni Sembabule Villa Maria Road and the numerous accidents that are happening on this road. Recently, we had a very tragic one where the person who was knocked kept on being stepped on by the other lorries that continued coming, and all that was retrieved for burial was his leg and pieces of flesh which were gathered from the site. It was terrible. Thereafter, immediately thereafter, we had an accident by a Jaguar bus where 3 people died. I understand the driver was trying to jump out, but the vehicle fell on him and 8 people were injured. Now, I have complained about this road in the past, and it happened that when the Katonga diversion came about, then this road was used for the big vehicles, the buses and the trailers. They drive carelessly, they don't observe traffic regulations, they do double parking in the towns. My prayer, Right Honorable, is that the district local authorities should designate parking areas within the towns, say where these vehicles can park from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to avoid double parking and avoid accidents. And this has successfully happened in Lukaya and Njeru. Then to increase the cases for designation of traffic officers in the area. And for the interstate buses, Ministry of Works to ensure that these buses have 2 drivers each, because they are not, one driver is not supposed to drive more than 300 kilometers. Then that we have a multi-sectoral road safety committee chaired by the CAO and including Ministry of Works, UNRA, TLB, the RPC, DPC, maybe headmasters, the DEO and others. And then,
Honorable, conclude on.
thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you. Now, Right Honorable Prime Minister, the whole of last week, we never had a Minister for Works. I had issues from members of Parliament regarding works, and I kept telling them when the minister comes in, because you see, the business of saying, no, go back, bring a statement, we clog our order paper. I've tried to make it very easy for you. But if we fail to do that, then I'll be asking ministers to bring their statements. But some of the issues, answers would be straight and members are satisfied there and then. Let's cooperate on this. The whole of last week, I never had any single minister for works here. And it made it very difficult to address the issues. But now, Honorable Minister for Internal Affairs, this is more of accidents and reckless driving, and you have officers on the road.
Right Honorable Speaker, I've taken the note of the concerns of the honorable member, and we shall increase our traffic police footprint on that route.
Yeah, thank you. Work with the colleagues in the area. Honorable Tebandeke, please. Honorable colleagues, I determine when I pick what point. And I don't want it to reach a level of near harassment. Okay? Honorable Tebandeke. Honorable Okwanga Phillips.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand here on matters of national importance. We have especially our wild animals in the parks. Especially in Kidepo, the wild animals have migrated away from the national parks and entered to the community. In the course, it has created a lot of atrocities. Over 10,000 households in my district and the surrounding community is crying. The elephants have destroyed whatever crop which has been there. I equally went with the minister. He saw how people were suffering. Now, my prayer is, I would request
or I inform the concerned persons to provide adequate living conditions for these animals in the park. Because there is no animal there, they have come to the community. 2, to fence off, to control the movement of these animals. 3, there is a process of compensation, which I am told is there, but it is taking long, and my people are going to get extinct because of no food. So I would request that even the intervention be done much quickly than what they are saying. It will take a process to come. Thank you very much.
Honourable Minister for Tourism.
I thank Honorable Okong for raising the issue. And it's true, I was there with him probably a month ago. And I agree there are a number of issues in the Kidepo area. But what we are doing currently, Right Honorable, is we are adding around 100 officers and outposts in the meantime, see how they deter and keep these animals in the protected areas. But also, on the issue of compensation, I think we discussed with the communities, the money is not adequate, but we've told them to register. We'll be handling them in phases. But what we are doing immediately, in the circumstances, we're also going to do a trench in the meantime, but also deploy rangers in the next, actually, we've already deployed.
Thank you.
So they'll be able to.
Honorable Mamawi James.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on the matter of national importance. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to appreciate that you give us recess and we were able to discover so many things in our constituencies. Right Honorable Speaker, when I moved around, I got one gentleman who is renovating a cotton store in my constituency, which was built by the cooperative society that time. And when I asked Right Honorable Speaker, the person told me he bought these stores from the government. And Right Honorable Speaker, as a country, we are looking at revamping those cooperatives in our areas. Therefore, we need to know from the government whether they have sold these stores to individuals in this country. And secondly, we need to know the status of those government properties in our areas. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, Honorable, bringing that point, today I read in the press the issue of Soroti golf land, golf club land, that has where the cow, I think the cow is writing to the government Varua to vary it, and that they are selling and the people are protesting. I saw Honorable Mukura on Twitter saying come for help and all that. That one I'm assigning Attorney General. Kindly check for us. Tomorrow you can give us an update to protect this public land, because the way it looked like it's a deal between a few people, and there is a lot of protest in Soroti.
Right Honorable Speaker, this matter was already raised here. Okay. It was referred to the Minister of Lands. Actually, when the story came up yesterday, I spoke to her and she said that she was handling the matter and that no such thing will happen. But I will remind her to bring a report, but she's already seized with the matter.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney General. So the Honorable Minister for Trade.
On the issue of Honorable James Mamawi.
Yes.
I will follow up with him and check what are the facts on the ground. And if the property belongs to the cooperative, then that should be held.
No, Honorable, this is an issue which you will not only sort with Honorable Mamawi. It might be happening even in other areas, especially land of cooperatives. People have targeted it. So you could give us a status of all land of cooperatives, starting with his. And we give you space on the floor.
We will be ready next week to give you Mr.
Yeah.
Speaker, if you can give us maybe 2 weeks because the work
Yeah,
is
2 weeks,
big,
we can give you 2 weeks.
then we'll be able to
Okay.
come.
Thank you. Honorable Richard Gafabusa. Honorable.
Thank you. I'm here, sir. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I raise on a matter of urgent national importance. For the last 4 or 5 days, we've had catastrophic rains, hailstorms, strong winds as the rain is set in Bondibujo in the Rwenzori Mountains. The entire district, but specifically the sub-counties of Nyahuka Town Council, Busaru, Mirambi, Uganikire Town Council, Ndugutu, Kagugu, Sindira. A lot of property has been destroyed. Crops, wild animal, domestic animals. But what is most urgent now is that we have 2 secondary schools, Kakuka Hill Secondary School and St. Mary's Secondary School, Simbia. Classroom blocks, all the roofs have been blown off.
Prayers, Honorable.
The lab, our prayers.
No, your MP is from the same area.
Yes,
please.
my colleague will
So
add.
it's,
Our prayers, number one, we need immediately OPM, disaster preparedness, to go on ground. I know the COW is sending reports to OPM, but also Ministry of Education should come in because we are heading towards examinations, senior 4, senior 6. At St. Mary's, the laboratory was destroyed. The roof, all the equipment, we don't know what they are going to use. So we need immediate response by government, Ministry of Education and OPM, come to our rescue immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Honorable.
You wanted to add?
Right, Honorable Speaker, we are going to handle that urgently with the Ministry of Education and OPM.
Thank you. Honorable Tinka Simile.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I raise on a matter of national importance. Not long ago, Right Honorable Speaker, this country befell a calamity of where a number of our serving soldiers were killed by Al-Shabaab in Somalia. And one of my constituents, Captain Vajenyi Kanyema Donald, was in that brigade. He was aged 35 years of age, number RO 13648, formerly deployed at Kachiri Barracks. The administration of UPDF, in an effort to identify whether he was one of the people who were killed, asked the family to bring people. Among them was a sister to the soldier, the captain in Bombo. They took DNA samples to find out the bodies that they were in possession, whether matched any of them. It was negative. They called both the mother and the father. They did the same, and it was still not yielding results. The family is totally confused, like any other families in the same category, that they are asking if he cannot be identified to have died or his body can be found. What happened? Was he abducted? Was he abducted? And those questions cannot be answered by me or any ordinary person. It should be Minister for Defense to tell this country.
Honorable colleagues, I told you on matters of national importance, I don't entertain information.
To
Just
tell
it's
this
very
country,
clear, please.
thank you very much. To tell this country about those soldiers whose bodies cannot be found for decent burial. What happened? Where are they? Can they be accounted for? Two, their estates are going to waste. For instance, this particular captain, he has a wife and left 3 children. They are of school-going age. They cannot access his bank accounts to like pay fees. In the meantime, as they try to mourn about to manage the crisis of his absence. 3,
no, can you conclude?
There are people in the news. We received that a certain bank, some banking officers stole the savings in a very short time of these soldiers. We want government to come clean, particularly the Minister of Defense, to tell us how they are dealing with this matter. And particularly for my constituent from Buyaga West constituency, Captain Bajenyi Donald.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Minister for Defense.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Whenever anybody talks about what happened in Somalia, it's very heartbreaking. It's not a matter that we take lightly. And I want to implore Honorable Tinka Simire to work with us so that we can get to the bottom of this. I'm just hearing this scenario here. And of course, as a leadership, whatever happened, we may not know who is missing in action. It's a process that verification and identification is going on. We ask that you allow us time to harmonize with the Honorable Tinka Simire, who is going to give me the details. Now, he wants me to clarify on.
Honorable, that's within your power.
Thank you. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would like to appreciate Honorable Minister. Right, Honorable Speaker, the matter of our soldiers who are killed in Somalia is very serious. Right now, Honorable Speaker, there are parents whose children are in Somalia. I have 2, they are coming from my constituency. They are telling me that they used to communicate to their children. But after the incident, up to now, they have never heard from their children. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would like to seek clarification from Honorable Minister when they are going to give names of those ones who passed on from Somalia, where they come from, the district where they come from, so that the parents are relieved. Let parents know where their children are alive or dead. That is the clarification I want to seek from you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
I'm sure that is not a clarification. He's raising a new matter, but all the families whose siblings got involved into this matter, they were contacted. The issue of communication or failure of communication with those in Somalia, there could be several reasons. If there are concerns, my office, and in fact, the offices of all the army leadership and the ministers, we are here, 2 of us, is open to do that. I don't think that and the Honorable Anya is my very good friend, is known in this parliament for raising land matters more effectively. This matter here, we shall.
Honorable, take your seat. Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, on these issues, I'm very sure the UPDF leadership and the government, they do have records of all their contingent members who are in Somalia. Or even, this is a matter for which I would request indeed you handle without bringing a statement here. It's a very sensitive matter. In discussing it, in handling it here on the floor, emotions might run high. Sometimes we make statements that do affect the family seriously. But whenever Tinkas has raised it, try to reach out to the family members of all the people. And where a member has raised it, please, honorable colleagues, I advise you, when this comes, immediately link up with the minister. If he doesn't, you inform us, we give you space. Honorable Idris Abidia.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance. Right Honorable Speaker, it was yesterday afternoon when the NFA officials in Mayuge, specifically in my constituency, the village called Bugata, Bumwena Parish, Malong Sub-County, Mayuge District. But Honorable Speaker, this operation led into the killing of one resident in the names of Paulo Chijama, and another 4 were shot. As I talk now, 2 are critically injured and admitted at Jinja Referral Hospital. Right Honorable Speaker, this was as a result of a conflict that has been there for so long. And this is not a new matter, Right Honorable Speaker. Recently, I raised it here, and the Right Honorable Prime Minister committed herself, and on behalf of government, that they are going to solve this matter. Right Honorable Speaker, the directive that His Excellency the President gave was the allocation of 48 villages to the Wananchi and 14 villages to NFA, for NFA to continue planting trees. But what is happening there, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, you don't see trees. It is business being conducted that side. This year you see trees. As I talk now, what is happening? It is harvesting trees. The intention would be good really to plant these trees, protect the environment. But when you see them harvesting the trees, they are instead of protecting the environment, they are instead destroying the environment.
Prayers.
Right Honorable Speaker, my prayers are, 1, that the Minister of Internal Affairs should investigate into these matters and the culprits be brought to book. 2, the Committee of Parliament responsible for natural resources should interest itself into this matter, go and investigate into it, and bring a substantive report for the House to resolve on these matters. 3, I request government to come up and treat the ailing patients who are in Jinja Referral Hospital, because these were poor peasants who were just found in gardens and they were shot. Those are my prayers, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, where we say the Minister for Internal Affairs goes to investigate, Parliament cannot go to investigate also. We first leave the minister to do their work. We don't jump into, let's give the executive chance, they do their work, then we can come in once we are not satisfied. A member can petition. I can bring a petition here on behalf of the public, and it would be a very good basis for us to go and study the situation on the ground and give very clear recommendations. But Honorable Minister, what I see, there is also need to go on the ground and meet the people. So, Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, we shall follow up with the line minister responsible for environment in addition to the investigation.
And the Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, who is the woman MP of the area, can also pull ministers to go and, please go and help the situation. Honorable Kirumira Hassan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance regarding the after effects of a hailstorm in Bombo Town Council and Nyimbwa Sub-County. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 13th of August, a catastrophe befell the people of Nanywa village and in Kokonjero in Bombo Town Council. Gardens were washed away, rooftops of houses were swept away, but specifically a school, a primary school, Kokonjero Primary School, the whole school, the roof went off, and learners do not have classes where to attend their classes. The school is adjacent to bomb barracks, and children of soldiers attend in that school. So my prayers, Right Honorable Speaker, is for government to take interest in this matter, specifically the line ministries, education and disaster, to go on ground, visit the primary school. And of course, our people are suffering now. They do not have food. Provide some relief to the people of Nanywa and the people of Kokonjero. And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, because their gardens were washed away, the ministry to provide seeds for them to do planting because the rain season is starting. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, that is bad to hear that the community lost their gardens and of course the school going, the roof going off. But I request that can we receive that in writing so that we can make a follow-up from the district disaster committee and maybe from also yourself. Thank you.
Honorable Guzuri.
Mr. Speaker, I think the country is going through a lot. Climate change is taking toll on us. I have a similar problem in Maracha district where schools have been devastated, churches, also unqualified hectares of agricultural land all destroyed. And we're praying to government, special office of the Prime Minister to intervene by supplying food, supplying seeds, and restoring those schools because kids need to continue with the learning. And I hope the Prime Minister will bring action taken report by next week so that we know if the government has been there for her people. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, it's just a reminder, you directed that the Minister for Urban Development should bring a report here on how local governments are complying with approved physical development plans. Because if we have slums mushrooming everywhere, we will have a problem. That report has not been tabled here. So I therefore want to remind you that you could remind the Minister for Urban Development to bring a report here on local government's compliance with the law, the Physical Planning Act. Thank you.
So, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, the Right Honorable Speaker. It is true, I could say the climate has changed. In northern Uganda, Gulu, Eastern Acholi sub-region, Kitgum, Lamour, Agago, Pade, we used to start receiving the second rain by the month of July. But now we're in August. August are always the month where the rainfalls are intense. But currently, from July, June, July, until now, we have a very severe dry spells to the extent that the crops that were planted, they germinated, have withered down. And now people are expecting that if the rain starts, they're supposed to put some seeds down so that at least in some 3 months or 4 months, they could be in position to harvest some crops. But the problem now is they lack seeds. If the rain comes, they will have nothing to plant. We pray that if the government can help, now that this thing is becoming almost
countrywide. They give us some seats so that the seats can help these people within this period of time as quick as possible than waiting maybe until the end of August or maybe the end of September. Then we are going to miss again the season. Because of course, you can recall the country have been suffering because of the poso, the beans, those things have been lacking. It was not to the enough capacity that people could access them. And the similar thing is being projected. If nothing is done, then next year is going to be worse. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable colleagues, no, I want us to be cautious as a house so that we don't contradict ourselves. Any money we never budgeted for, we cannot tell government to provide. Because we are the ones who budgeted. We did appropriation, we didn't provide money for seedings. Now we come here on the floor, we make a resolution that give us seedlings or seeds, but we never provided that money. You're more or less saying, go process it supplementary, or go like, no. Please, it is, I asked one thing, which is coming very soon. I want us as a house to be consistent. Someone 100 years from today will be reading what we submit here and what we resolve here. Okay? Where didn't we know we wanted seeds and seedlings when we were doing the budget? So how do we come now to say we ask for seedlings? We cannot. I want to be part of that. I want to be, right honorable, please. Can you respond? But I called the minister, colleagues, I called the minister, if you can remember, to come and explain it to us. And we have a long debate on the issue of PDM, how PDM is going to cover inputs. If that statement comes, then we can discuss and we say, okay, next time we are budgeting, we found you misguided us on this. Therefore, we shall take this route.
Right, Honorable Speaker, you've guided this house well, because I was, when my honorable member was submitting, I was telling my colleague, but we give money to PDM, and that is where our focus is. So if we want seeds, then Parliament has to give government or ministries more money so that we can give seeds to those who are requesting for seeds now. But like you've guided, Right Honorable, let us wait for the PDM report and we see where. Thank you.
His question, Honorable Guzuri's question of disaster.
Right Honorable Speaker, I request that let members give us written reports, because we cannot just act on a hearsay. Sometimes members come here when information being given here in Parliament is not the actual information on the ground. So, right, honorable member, please submit that in.
Thank you. House adjourned to tomorrow, 2 p.m.